Here is the lineup for the mouthpiece test I plan to film. This is my original Buescher stock mouthpiece. Well, it's stock blank. I hand finished this from a rough blank, actually. This is my copy of it, which is 3D printed and hand finished by me, and I call that a medium. Then I created a design that was a little darker, D, a little brighter, B, and then this is a 3D printed one that I outsource that's made of stainless steel. That's also a copy of the M. Now they're all a little different, but they're closer than not. So the tip opening on the Buescher is 54, facing length is 34. So these are all about the same: 54, 55, 54, 52, 49. That sounds like the largest change, but you can just move the reed up and down a little bit and compensate. I have a Rovner, very old, it's almost worn. I marked it so I'd remember what it was. One RVS. They may have changed the nomenclature, but it's just a hard rubber Soprano sax ligature. I went with purple because it matches the inside of the vintage cases of these old Cons and Bueschers. But, you know, it's a nice color. I've done these in black. I've done them in red. There's a red one. I have a few other colors. Let me look at show the designs, kind of. I have better pictures on my website of these. So, you know, it's a rollover baffle, and it has a slight squeeze to the throat, not from the backbore, but from the baffle side, whereas most soprano mouthpieces you buy, well, a lot of them are like this, but more pronounced even, but some like a Caravan are the other way around, I believe. This one's similar. You know, I tried to copy that faithfully. Now, when I went to the dark design, I actually made the throat smaller so that I could lower the baffle in this area. Okay, so it could have a little more focus, but you know, the baffle area is what really dominates the sound. And then this bright one actually has the largest throat. That's all the way opened up, and so it's an increased volume there, which allowed me to take away some volume by making the baffle one of these kind of a bullet shape. There's a groove down here, and this is a high baffle here. And then this is supposed to be a copy of these two, but it ended up with a little bit more rollover baffle. So this may actually sound a little brighter, and I don't think it's because of the material. It's because of this little bit of extra rollover baffle, and being stainless steel, it's not easy to get that shaped down, but I can do it, but it wasn't worth it for me. I just wanted to kind of make it nice with the least amount of effort, so that's what I ended up with. I'm going to start with my baseline mouthpiece and what I normally play on it, which is a Java 2.5. This is broken in. And for my playing, I actually only play it once a year, if that, on a gig, where I substitute for an oboe player for an outdoor concert at with a wind ensemble. And we mostly are playing pop, nothing, heavy classic for that concert. So this reed is kind of the sweetest, smallest sound, okay? And then I'll jump over and put that reed on, the same reed on this mouthpiece. Then I'll try a couple other reeds on it. I'll have a Fibracell 2.5. This is really old. This is probably 20 years old, 30 years old. And then a Legere Soprano classic, I guess they call it, 2 3/4. Again, this is pretty old too. This is before they had multiple types. But then I'll use this for the rest of the comparisons so that, you have the same reed on all of them. I'm not going to try all 3 reeds on all the mouthpieces. It just takes too long. So we'll do it like that. So here's my 1925 Buescher C soprano sax. It's not a very good one. It's I fought the intonation on this. There's some notes on it that you have to favor. Had a couple people look at it, and I had to undo some of their work, but some of the work they did was useful. They resculpted the inside of the neck a little bit with some putty. They did some things to the key heights that I refined later. And then they recommended a large chamber mouthpiece, but I ended up just going to a standard Soprano mouthpiece, which centered my intonation better. I did some ergonomics customization on it. There's a G-sharp augmentation out here with putty that makes that button a lot easier to play, and the high D, I put a riser on it. Only goes up to E flat, but with a forked fingering, I can get a pretty good E and an F half the time, sometimes an F sharp. So, all right, I'm going to start off with my normal hard rubber mouthpiece and a Vandoren Java 2.5 reed on it. Like I said, this is what I use to get the sweetest sound I can for imitating an oboe, and I usually don't push it real far volume-wise. That's a high F. All right. So I'm going to go now to what I was attempting to do, a copy of that mouthpiece the best I could. I didn't get wrapped up with trying to make it perfect, but just get it close to the ballpark. I spent a lot of time to make sure the intonation was centered as best I could. Like I said, it doesn't fix note to note, but you're trying to make sure that it's decent overall. See, it's a little more open sounding, even though tip opening wise, it's almost exactly the same. So there might be some slight baffle differences. It's the same reed, the Java 2.5. So now I'm going to move to the Fibracell 2.5. Same mouthpiece, same tuning position on the cork. Be a little stiffer, but it's bigger sound, more saxy, reedy sounding, maybe a little buzz. Now this is a 2 3/4 Legere classic. play the other designs, but most of these mouthpieces, they'll all sound similar at soft volume, so you really have to kind of push them a little to hear the difference. Okay, I'm going to stick with the Legere reed and go from that medium to what I call a dark. And it's not going to be crazy dark because it's not a super large chamber, but it is a lower baffle and a smaller throat to kind of maintain the same intonation tendencies, but to give a darker sound. And the difference is subtle, so to my ears. Okay, now we're going to move from the dark design to my so-called bright design. A little higher baffle and a larger throat. Same reed, Legere. I'm going to index these in the comments section so that you can go to the spot for each mouthpiece and kind of A/B them if you want. Yeah, when you contrast the dark to the bright, that's a big step difference. But if you kind of did them from dark to medium to bright, you may not notice it quite as much. Okay, now the last thing, demo is my medium design again, but in stainless steel. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't really think the material makes a huge difference, but you can draw your own conclusion. It's really more, if this is a little brighter or bigger sound, it's more because of the rollover baffle is slightly different shape in this one, in my opinion. That's the reason. It's a lot of fun to play. It is heavier, and it changes the balance, but probably not in a bad way. It kind of puts a little extra weight on your lip. So there you have it. Those are my Soprano mouthpieces. I'm trying to serve an underserved market, so that's why I didn't do a B-flat mouthpiece. That would be the smart move, business-wise, but so these are available, some of these for trial, and some of these I can customize too for different tip openings, but I think that's a good all-around tip opening around the 55 area for these, 50, 55.